Thank you so much, Dr. Alexander. And thank you so much. Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay. You all are good. Awesome. And fingers crossed. I just need the internet to work with me for an hour, right? We got this. Send prayers up, right? All right. So welcome to There's a Bitmoji for That. This is probably one of my favorite sessions to present now. So we're going to dive in. And for those of you that I don't know, my name is Jennifer Hall, and I'm an educational technology specialist here in Atlanta. And what that means is that I provide technology training for teachers, plan with them on best practices for integrating instructional technology in their standards-based lessons. And the best part of my job is pushing into classrooms and working with students. Before I moved into the role, this is my 7th year as an ETS. Before that, I was a middle school language arts teacher for 17 years. So that's the reason my hair is gray and my screws are loose, because I was a middle school teacher for so long. And I mainly work in Atlanta. I have 4 middle schools I'm directly assigned to and 1 high school. But I also do PL for the whole district. So a little bit about me. I am nationally board certified in the area of English language arts, a certified innovator. And that's actually where Dr. Alexander and I connected. She was one of the team captains at my Innovator Academy at NYC 19. I'm also a certified trainer and a newly minted MIE expert. So just a little bit about me. And if you'd like to connect, my Twitter handle is APSITGen. So I'd love for us to connect that way. So our goal for our session is pretty straightforward. Learn tips and tricks for using your Bitmoji to engage your audience. So I'm curious in the chat right now. I got Seminole County, Georgia in the house. Got a fellow Georgian here. Awesome. Let me know if you've already created a Bitmoji classroom or a Bitmoji office. Okay. All right, because I'm going to talk about not just like that, but also just cool ways to use your Bitmoji. Look at that. I got all these folks trying to, no, not yet. All right, so we're going to talk about different ways you can use your Bitmoji. And I have a lot of people that are like, that's a little intimidating. I can't dive in and do a Bitmoji classroom, but I want some other ways to use my Bitmoji with my students. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Sound good? All right, so let's dive in. I am going to be watching the chat, so feel free to drop any questions in the chat. It's very informal in the sense that if I see a question that I can address right then, I will do that. So let's get going. So as I told you, this kind of started with my, I was applying to go to the Google Innovator Academy. And so the first time I ever presented about Bitmoji was when they had us do these sparks, like 20 minutes, like, what are you passionate about? And I was like, I'm passionate about my Genmoji. Yeah, she's not even a Bitmoji. She's called Genmoji. So I put together this is my little story of me going to Google Innovator. So I was like, yes, goal, I'm going to apply to it. And then I had to think about what am I going to do? What is my how white me? And then I had to put together my proposal. And then it was like, okay, I sent it off and I was like, all right, be your best Jen. Okay, now the problem was waiting, fingers crossed, was it going to happen? So you notice I'm using my Bitmoji to tell my story. You like that? So I was nervous sweating the whole time. Yes, I got in. And then I was actually put into the Normbusters was my team, which was fantastic. And off to New York City I went to meet these awesome innovators for NYC 19. And I just was overjoyed for that time that I was there and just learning. So I presented like about Bitmoji at that session. And so I always kind of keep that story there because that's where me presenting about Bitmoji became kind of a thing. And everyone was like, this is so cool. So the first thing you need to do if you have not already done so is you need to make sure you've downloaded the Bitmoji Chrome extension. So a lot of people are like, well, I have my Bitmoji on my phone, but how do I get it into everything else I want to do? So there is a Chrome extension and you're going to want to install that. That's the first thing. Now, if you're one of those folks, you're like, I've heard about a Bitmoji, but I don't even have one. Then step 1 is download the app, take a little selfie, and Bitmoji is going to use some little AI creative stuff to say, this is what you kind of look like. And then I always change it because I want to look younger. I want to have better hair. I want to pick my glasses and all that good stuff, right? So what that looks like is you're going to download that Chrome extension. And this is a little video here that's going to kind of walk through why you would want to get the Chrome extension and how you can use it. So very simple. All you need to do, oh, can you delete your Bitmoji and make a new one? Yes. If you go in there, you can say reset in the settings and be like, start from scratch. So you're going to search Bitmoji Chrome extension. There it is. It's in the web store. You're going to install it. Now, I will have to say, so I can actually, once you install it, some school districts, it's blocked. So keep that in mind. If you try and it says your admin is blocked, you might have to do it on your personal Gmail. But there's ways to make it work, like if you share your presentations. But so once you install it, I can go up here and search for things and be like, yep, I want a little school picture, stay in school, drop it into it's literally drag and drop into Google Slides, okay? The other thing is that I use it in Google Drawings all the time. And if you're not familiar with Google Drawings, it's one of my favorite tools. On my YouTube channel and on my website, there's a link to like Google Drawings and tips on that. So if you're not familiar, you might want to dive into that. So look, I can drop in all these fantastic stickers that are ready to go. But oftentimes, and this is where I think you can level up, is you might take a sticker you really like, okay? But you want to change it. You want to be able to customize it. So this is how you can make custom stickers for your students. So you can actually drop their names on it, or you can put your name on it, or you can put your school motto on it, or whatever you want. So this is me dropping in a sticker, which I love the message. You can do it. That's awesome. But I might want to change it. So I'm going to draw in some shapes here, and I'm going to customize this, and I'm going to add in some text here. And so I can take that existing Bitmoji sticker and I can add to it. So of course, I'm going to just do my favorite message right here, which Bitmoji rocks. I've been an early adopter when it was bit strips. Is anyone else, did they used to use it when it was bit strips on Facebook a long time ago? Okay. So notice I made my little message here. I can customize it, and voila, you save that as a new image, and that is how you can make custom stickers. So how many of you have been doing that? Has anyone been doing that where they make custom stickers? Did you know you could do that? All right, so let's dive in here and learn a little bit more. So there are a number of ways you can use your stickers, and one of the things I do is I use my Bitmoji for social media logos and stickers. So if you're using any, if you're doing social media, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you can use it for your announcements, your stickers, and things like that. So this is actually, I did virtual PD during the summer, and so this was my announcement. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll notice that most of the time, if you see a picture of me, it's with my Genmoji in the same picture, because really my Genmoji's on my social media way more than me. So I created this virtual PD. This right here is a sticker. Those are physical stickers I had printed by Sticker Mule to give out in the real world to people. And I can't wait to get back in the real world to hand out more. But I designed that in a class that I took with Tony Vincent called, if you're not familiar with Tony Vincent, he has an awesome website, learninginhand.com, and he did workshops, and it was on classy creations. And so I designed that sticker, but then I have like social media stuff for my Twitter, things like that. So you can make stickers and print them, or they can be just digital stickers. And I just saw that awesome. Mary says you've applied them to your Google Forms header. Perfect. So I use them for all of my Google Classroom headers, and also it's great for Google Form headers because it's just going to differentiate those, especially if you have kids, all their classes are online in Google Classroom and they've got 4, 5, 6 classes. Having your Bitmoji in it is going to stand out when they see it, because half the time they don't read what it says about ELA, math science, or social studies. But when they see that Bitmoji, they're going to go, oh, that's my class. And especially if you're doing this in a virtual, if you did it in a virtual setting, this is your connection for students. This is how they're getting to know you. So I see a couple questions. Learninginhand.com is his website. Sticker Mule is correct. Yes. So what's great is you're going to get a copy of this presentation and all of the links that are in there. But like I have a link to a drawings header and a slides header that you literally can copy it and you can make changes to it as you want. And yes, if you are a Microsoft person, you can also do custom headers and stuff to use in your forms for Microsoft Forms and Microsoft Teams as well. Awesome. Okay. So there we go. So classroom headers, using it in form headers, things like that. So the next way that I think is a really great way to engage your learners, especially in distance learning, is to use it for Wakelet and Flipgrid. How many of you folks are Wakelet or Flipgrid users? Okay, so Flipgrid is probably one of my favorite things. I've got a template for theirs, and it's a great way that when they go into the Flipgrid that you're there, your message is there, and depending on what your topic is, you can use a Bitmoji that's related to that topic, and students are gonna be like, oh, I got it. This is a little like a visual cue for them. In addition to that, Wakelet, and if you're not familiar with Wakelet, it is amazing, and it's a free tool as well, and it's a content curation tool. So I use it for pulling resources together for my students and teachers, but also you can use it as a self-paced lesson, like a 5E model hyperdoc, because it has immersive reader built in. And if you're not familiar with Wakelet, check out on my channel. I've got a whole how-to for Wakelet and 10 ideas for using Wakelet. But notice I've got these custom headers for my Wakelet collections. So it just, again, it personalizes it, it kind of brands it, and it just makes it very interesting for you and your students to be like, oh, okay, I can see that that's Miss Hall's Wakelet, so or that's Miss Hall's Flipgrid. So when I work with students and I create a Flipgrid for them to respond to, they know it's my Flipgrid because they're going to see my Bitmoji on it. Okay. So there we go. So custom headers for Wakelet and Flipgrid, definitely try that. And if you're not familiar with either of those tools, please do check that out. If you check out my YouTube channel, it's Tech Tips 411. I've got a playlist of all different PDs and things like that. And you can find all sorts of resources on how to use Wakelet and how to use Flipgrid, getting started. So another way is just kind of creative social media posts. I'm going to kind of go back a little bit and throw back to when they were doing these social media posts. Did you all see the Dolly Parton challenge? It was a while ago where Dolly Parton posted like, get a woman that, find a woman that can do everything. And she posted like her LinkedIn, her Facebook, her Instagram, and her Tinder. I obviously for education, I did not go with that. I went with Twitter, but it's your different personas of your, social media presence. And so this was my example. Notice like my LinkedIn is like very business, very serious, but when I get to Instagram, I'm all like, hey, what's up? So that was just kind of a funny way to do it, but I used my Bitmoji to show that personality. So if you're introducing yourself to your students, and like this was our first week of school in APS, and maybe you're getting ready to start and you're trying to introduce yourself, show your personality. Like, what's your school personality like? What is your hobbies, things like that. It's kind of a fun way to connect with your students. In addition to that, when I recertified as a national board certified teacher, of course, Genmoji had to do the announcement. So I used that trick where I dropped it into Google Slides and I added that sticker and made a new sticker to put into my Twitter feed. So other ways that I use Bitmoji is I do a weekly Tech Tips 411 newsletter. And if you're interested, you can sign up for that. That is, if you go on my website, it'll pop up and say subscribe if you'd like, and you can say get the 411. So I do that weekly newsletter is every tip that I give an EdTech tip, I give a Chrome app, and Jen's fave, and a digital resource. Each one of those has a different Bitmoji to kind of go with it. So I just, again, another way to communicate for visual learners, and using it in your newsletters just makes it more personal. Again, right now, I mean, I was doing this when we were face-to-face, but now that we're, distance learning and not getting to be with our students, it's just a great way to show your personality and to connect. And kids get a kick out of it. I mean, I popped into a class on Thursday and the kids were like, you look just like your cartoon. So there it is, using newsletters. And you can do newsletters in tools like I created. This one over here is a template I created in Google Drawings, but you can also use tools like Adobe Spark, and you can easily drag it into Adobe Spark to make interactive videos or pages and posts and things like that. And it's super cool. All right. Other ways that I'm using the Bitmoji is my Genmoji is starring in a number of infographics. It's a great way to communicate for all age learners, especially your younger learners, expectations. So as you can see, I created this online class etiquette one. It was a visual cue for each thing, like, okay, be on time. It's like, no, you can't be sleeping on the job. You gotta get up and be there on time. Presentation, the microphone, things like that. So I used it to give that visual cue for younger students or for your language learners. So it really comes in handy for infographics. On the right-hand side, that is my virtual field trips that I created. All of those link to those specific field trips. But if you just looked at a document that just had the links, it's not visually engaging. So adding in, as you can see, each of these, it just kind of makes it more visually interesting. Both of those are linked in the presentation, so you're welcome to use them if you find them interesting. Or the online class etiquette one, I've been amused by how many people have used it or remixed it. I have a friend of mine that was like, I love this idea, but I'm going to do my own version, and hers turned out even better than mine. So there you go. So using it for those infographics and just instructions. So over here, extensions for Google Meet. When we were using Google Meet last year, there were a couple of extensions I wanted my teachers to understand. And if I just clicked that, sent out a link, they'd be like, oh, okay, but there's that visual cue. Like this was probably one of my favorite things to do. Look at this, my grid view. And I put in all these different Genmojis to indicate grid view. All right, so here we go. Next up, we got our providing feedback for Flipgrid. Again, if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, there's that. But both of these infographics are linked in there right now. So how are we feeling? We've got a couple ideas because we're just getting started. I got more. Are we ready for some more? All right, let's do this. So I don't print a lot of things, and I got to give another shout out. This was actually that Classy Creations class I took with Tony Vincent, who he was like, we have to do one of the weeks we had to do something that was printable. And I'm like, I'm a tech person that goes from school to school to school. I don't even have access to a printer at the schools. Like, I mean, I don't have an office. And so I designed this, and this is a fun way. And when you get back to the real world, and this is super cool, is that I have this, and it's a 3-sided table topper, and on each side, it goes to a different resource. So this QR code gets you to my 411. If you want to scan that, it'll take you to sign up for my tech tips. This one takes you to my website. This one takes you to my mobile app. I printed those, and when I was at my last conference out in the real world, I was at NC Ties, I was able to set that out on the table. I'm doing my thing, and then people could come up and scan and get my information very quickly. Okay, that's great for me as a presenter, but what could you do with it? You right here could create this as you're doing learning stations in your classroom, that you have a Bitmoji that's kind of indicating kind of what the activity is, and then you put that QR code on it. And since I did a trifold one, you can have each one go to a different activity that they need to complete. Or you could just do one facing activity with one Bitmoji if you wanted to do it this way. But what was really cool is I didn't staple these together. I just use a paper clip, and then I can just unfold it, put it in my bag, take it with me, and I can set these out when I do trainings. But it's just a really kind of a fun way to make engaging printables. And if you'll notice, I also kind of jazzed up, like this right here is I use my hack, which we're going to talk about some different hacks in there, to jazz this up and put my logo on it and get me smiling. Because if you know that particular Bitmoji, it's not a very smiley Genmoji there. So I use my little hacks that I'm going to show you all to jazz these up and create this printable. So right now, that would be another idea to create some printables. So if you are face-to-face with your students, making those, and obviously maybe you want to laminate them so that you could wipe them down if the kids did touch them. But also, since you're putting a QR code, all they need to do is scan with their device. They wouldn't have to touch it right now. Okay. I don't have a YouTube video on making QR codes, but I do have a quick sheet on my Tech Tips 411 website. If you go on the resources tab, there's one that says QR codes, and it's a quick sheet on what you need to do. Great question. All right. So the other way that I'm using this is to create custom headers and scenes for Twitter, YouTube, and websites. So what you're looking at right now is where I'm sitting. This is me. That's the computer screen I'm talking to right here, presenting from, and all of your lovely faces, well, your names are popping up right over here. And so this is my actual setup. So I recreated that as an example, and I put that in for, it's on my Twitter, it's on my Facebook, it's on my YouTube, all of that. That's like, that kind of, here's what you know, day in the life of my job at home in the Tech Tips 411 studio. Thanks, Pam, for dropping that in there for Karen. I appreciate that. I love that my buddy P Nabby's in here. I'm so thrilled. She's seen me do this presentation before, but she just likes to come and check on me. So thanks, Pam. All right, so the other way that is so much fun is to create cartoon scenes. Depending on the content that you teach, put your Bitmoji in it to teach the content. So this is a cartoon I created to introduce myself to new teachers, because when I meet them, they're like, well, okay, so you're an ETS and EdTech specialist. What does that mean, and how can you help me? So what I did was I created this cartoon, and each panel explains something that I can do to help them. So for example, I can just pop into your classroom and I'm here. I provide training. I'm sending you resources. I'm sending that email. I can co-teach with you. These are examples of actual lessons that I've done with teachers so that they can, know what I can help them with. I've got my website. I love working with them on planning. And then also that I've got my app that they have as a resource to have all that in the palm of their hand. So you could do the same kind of thing if you're explaining a concept, say, for example, in social studies, and it was talking about maybe population migration, and you could actually use how people were traveling, and you can use the travel Bitmojis and things like that. So there's just certain ways you can do it. For science experiments, you can bring in different ones. There's a couple of math ones, obviously for the book ones, for ELA, things like that. So you could do like an author talk and have your Bitmoji kind of introduce the author. So many different ways you could use it. So I think that that's another fun way that you can create. So I created this in Google Slides, and the advantage to that is I can print it out if I wanted it. I can share the link via Google Classroom, and students can click on and watch each of the slides like a little mini movie. Or you can actually go into print view and actually have it look like a comic and have all of the slides on one page. Okay. So that's another idea. What do you think? How many of you guys are like, I think I could make a really cool cartoon about my content area that I'm teaching, right? How many of you had thought about that? I mean, use your virtual teacher. This is your virtual teacher to do that. All right. So now we're going to dive into the extra Gen special sauce stuff that we're going to try. All right. So now we're diving in. So we've talked about ways to use it. Now I want to show you ways that you can really level up your Bitmoji game. This is what I call the face swap. Okay. So people are like, what? Face swap? Let's try this. So on the left-hand side, this is the original Bitmoji image. Let's do this. Like we're jumping out of an airplane. But if you notice this expression, and as a former ELA teacher, it's all about like expression and tone and what you're conveying for your message. So if I look at this, I'm like, oh, I look more angry or mad about this situation than joyful. So what I did was I took this one and I made it into this. So right now I can go in here and I can say, I like that one, but like there's some really cool Bitmojis, but you're like, it's got a grimace on it. I don't want to have a grimace. I want to have a joyful smile. Like, yay, I'm so excited you're here. So this is called face swapping. Here we go. We ready? I love it. And Dr. Alexander was kind of blown away when I showed this. Here we go. This is face swapping. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to pick your first Bitmoji. There it is. Okay, I didn't like that one so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find another Bitmoji that has a facial expression I like that's very much in the same profile. I'm going to crop out all that extra stuff I don't need. And then I'm going to layer that on top of the other one. There we go. We're going to match it up right now. Then I'm going to group it, and now I've got a new Bitmoji sticker. We're going to play it again because I know people are like, say, what? Here we go. Take that first sticker that you like, but you want to change. Find another facial, another, face like that right now, and you're going to crop it down. We're going to lay it over on top. Going to turn it over just a little bit, and voila, I've got a new sticker. You group it in slides or drawings, whatever you did. Look at that. Mary says instant facelift. I love it. Right there. Oh, my buddy, Miss George, mind blown. Don't you love that? So that's how you can jazz up your Bitmoji to get the facial expression right now. So what do you mean by group? Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go sideways here for a second because when I say those things, I assume people know, but guess what? My little video lives in that presentation, is on my website. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this live. Are y'all ready? So I'm going to go to slides.new. All right, so we're gonna do this live. All right. So I always do the videos just in case the internet's on the struggle bus and things don't want to cooperate, but it's loading. The magic is happening. Y'all are waiting on me patiently. All right, here we go. We're gonna see it live. You're gonna see the magic. All right, I'm gonna get rid of all this right here. I don't need you. All right. So I'm gonna go up here to my Bitmoji. I'm going to find one that I want to use, but I want to change. So I'm going to I'll do the same one just because it'll be easy. So there it is. So there's that little grimace, right? So all I remember I got to do is drag it in, let it go. There we go. See, to me, that's not happy face right there, right? So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get another one. And I'm trying to remember which one I did, but I'm just going to go with, if I go to the little smiley face, I can also just get a profile smile. Something that shows me smiling. That's not a smile. All right, hold on. It's being super moody. But see, notice you have to make sure that it's tilting the same way. So that's like the tricky thing. See how that's a sideways face versus if you just type in smile, it's not going to give you that sideways face. So I'm going to go here where I am at least smiling. And I got to scroll through and I got to find one. See right here, this ha, the profile is the same way. So I'm going to drag this in. All right. And then I'm going to, if you double click on an image inside of inside of slides or in drawings, if I change it from a mask and a square, I can choose another shape. So I'm going to go to circle. I'm just going to drag this in. Whoops, I smooshed myself. Did not mean to smush myself. There we go. Hold on, wait for it. Drag this up right here. And over here just a little bit more. Because sometimes where the clothing hits might not match up. So now I'm going to bring this over here. I got to make you a little bit smaller. Otherwise, I'm going to look like, there we go, a little bit bigger. And I'm going to tilt you over. And because of that way the neck is, I'm going to have to, so you're going to see some extra work here, but that's all right. We're going to make it work. If you go right here and you just crop in just a little bit so you don't see the neck, you're going to lay it right over. It's a little bit more fine tuning. Here's a very important tip. If you want to move something right here, you're going to want to hit shift, and I can move it just one little hair at a time. All right, and there we go. And notice I want to get that little part right there in just a little bit, so you get the bottom of my face. There we go. How's that looking? Not bad for doing that on the fly really quick, right? So that little piece over there on my cheek. Gotta make sure I don't mess up my mouth. So it does take a little fine tuning, but once you get it the way you want it, that looks pretty good, right? So now I'm gonna drag around. I drag my mouse around, so both images. Notice I got a blue box around the original image, and then I've got this. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say group. So when I do that, now this has become one image. So if I go moving it around, I'm not gonna lose my face. All right, there we go. How we feeling about that? Pretty cool? Yeah, so if you hit that shift, arrow up and down, it does. If you just hit arrow up, it's gonna do it 5 pixels, like this. 5. If I hit the shift, it's only 1 pixel at a time, so it's a lot more fine-tuned left and right, okay? So how we feel about that on the face swap? Pretty cool? All right, let's show you guys some more. So, all right, next up, face swap and add a background. So I did the same thing on the left-hand side. As an ed tech specialist, I wanted to use this one because it looks like I'm sitting at my computer and I want to help you. But does that facial expression say Jen wants to help? Not at all. So in that case, what I did was I did a face swap, and you can see this is actually a different image, but face swap, and then I added a background to give it a different look and color, so that way I could put it on my website. Okay, so there we go. We got face swap plus add a background. Boom, we've leveled up. What do we think? All right, all right, so now that's where you're going to take that face swap, add a background, and jazz it up. So that's next tip. Now we're going to get into even more fine tuning and what I call like splicing or modifying your Bitmoji. So I feel kind of like a little bit like Dr. Frankenstein going in and manipulating Genmoji. But I needed to create that cartoon I showed you all earlier. I needed to put the right facial expression. I need to be like, hi, I'm here. So I changed out the mouth. In addition to that, I had to go in and change out and give myself a leg, because the way the Bitmoji was, I need to put the bottom of my body in. Otherwise, I would have just been a half of a Bitmoji. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, here's another example. Like for that particular cartoon, I wanted to have that snap. I'm doing the magic with training. And what did I do? I went and I got that, because I didn't want this body, but I wanted this arm. I did a little splicing and copied off that arm with a little cropping, and I dropped it in there and made my snap Genmoji. What do we think? Pretty cool? All right, moving on. So the other magical thing that has happened, if you've tried this and you searched a term inside of the search bar, it will look for Bitmojis that have that, and or it will add the text to it. So now that is a game changer right now, because I would spend a lot of time going in and trying to search for the ones that I wanted. So, and then changing out the text. So now if I search for things, so for example, I search for learn, it gives me learn, but it will add learn to it. If you don't like the one you got, erase the text, type it again, and it will generate new ones. So there's my Genmoji ones. Then of course I had to do a little tech tips 411. Okay. So you'll notice anytime there is a custom Bitmoji, down here on the bottom is going to be that. It's hard to see right there. Let's see here. My little toolbar showed it. I'm going to hover back up. Notice that little yellow gold circle at the bottom. That means it's a custom Bitmoji. And Bitmoji did that so that people don't think, oh, that's one that's available. No, it just means it's a custom one. So definitely look for those, and you'll see, like, here's 2 that I did. Generally, when I do my designs in my presentations, I'll crop that out. So it depending on what it is, I don't want it to stand out on my designs, but I left them on there as an example. So those are 2 different tech tips 411. I love that I can do that and get different examples of ones based on my colors, my branding, my website stuff that I want. I did an entire content areas resources page on my website. You should check that out under resources. Go to content area, and I did a Bitmoji for each one of the content areas and was able to do custom text in there. It's pretty cool. So check that out. All right, so next up, you saw when we started this off, I showed you my innovator journey via GIF. So this is another way to level up using your Bitmoji is by using, creating a GIF. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. One way is for you to use an app. So if you want to do this from your mobile device, you can, or from your website. It's Easy GIF Maker. It's super easy. That's why it's called easy. You can upload the images. You can change like the delay of how long each one's on there. You can duplicate them. You can reorder them. It's really, really cool. So this is just kind of like a back to school one right here. Here is that easygif.com again. Works in your browser or on your mobile device, and it's a great way to make an animated GIF. So you can use your Bitmoji to catch people on social media, or you can make that GIF to post into your slides deck. Can you have a GIF make one cycle? Like, oh, only play through once? That is a really good question. I wonder, there's a bunch of different settings in here. I think maybe, I don't want to be, don't quote me on this, but if you go into easygif.com, I think you can go in and maybe say that like not loop or something, but double check that. Okay. Yeah. So I think that check out Easy GIF Maker and see if that's in the settings so that it just plays through once. That's a good question. All right. So another one that is really powerful is Tall Tweets. And Tall Tweets is a great way for you to use it, and you can even have your students use it to create animated GIFs. So this is actually, I got to give another shout out to Tony Vincent. We did this in our Classy Creations class. If you'll notice on the left here, I've got one Genmoji with one facial expression, and I've got a color scheme here. When you go to this Bitmoji right now, I've got a different facial expression. My arms moved a little bit and the background is a little bit different. So using Tall Tweets, what you can do is you can upload it to Tall Tweets. Well, what it does, you don't actually upload it. You link to Tall Tweets to your Google Slides presentation, and then it makes this. And I know it's stretched out and kind of blurry right now because it was meant to be a little thumbnail one. But all you have to do is say, turn your Google Slides into a GIF. So it's a great way for you to use it for Bitmoji, but it's a really cool way for your students to create stop motion projects as well. It's really cool. All right. So that's another way to level up and create Bitmoji. So as you can see, I made it look like I'm smiling and like, hello, I'm here. Okay. So the next way to really level up your Bitmoji game, and if you haven't already done so, is with Snapchat. So if you didn't know, Snapchat actually owns Bitmoji. They bought it. And you can link your Bitmoji to your Snapchat account. And by doing that, then you can have friend emojis. And what that means is I say that you marry other Bitmojis. My wife and I are married via Bitmoji, but also my friends, we have friend emojis. You can actually pull in Bitmojis together. So that means if you're connected with someone, you can go in and be like, for example, my friend Pam's on here. Pam and I have a lot of friend emojis that we will send each other back and forth, which is really cool. For you all that are working on a team, this is a great way, if you have a co-teacher that you work with, to create those friend emojis so you can drop them very easily into your presentations. So the one way to do it, and this is only one of two reasons that I actually use Snapchat. I use it for this and then one other thing, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So we can be connected on Snapchat. If you don't want to be connected on Snapchat because you're just anti-Snapchat, which that's fine, there is a creating friend emojis spreadsheet where you can go in and paste your link to your ID, and this tells you all about it. The instructions are on that quick sheet. It tells you all about it. You can go in and you can actually connect them. So there's Pam right now. There you go, Pam. Do you see yourself? This is one, and you can go in and you can see that we have all of our friend emojis right there. So it's a great way for you to collect all of the people on your team. You can have access to everybody's Bitmojis using this magical spreadsheet. I did not create this spreadsheet. Somebody else did, but it is magical. So check that out. And the link is on my Bitmoji page. Another way is to add 3 or more Bitmojis together. For example, my friend Becky and Wanda, we were presenting at ISTE last year, so we're like the little 3 musketeers for this presentation. I created a logo that had all 3 of us together. So because we have friend emojis, I'm able to pull in me with Becky and me with Wanda and then actually splice that together so that we have the same Bitmoji. It's pretty cool. I use drawings or slides can work because you can copy and paste and you can crop folks together and then turn that into a new logo there. So you can have 3 or more. And I've had a lot of people do like entire photos class where they did a Google slide and everybody just dropped their Bitmoji in there to make like a team photo or a faculty photo, which is really cool. So here's another little tip I'm going to tell you. For some reason, sometimes when you search for a Bitmoji, it will not pop up in the Chrome extension, but it will pop up in the mobile app. Don't know why, but it's very easy for you to use Google Slides on your mobile device and just copy and paste them in there. So I do that a lot of times. That if I'm like, oh, I really want this one, I'll dump a bunch of Bitmojis into a slide deck that I can then copy and paste and move them wherever I want. So it's a really great way to use slides on your mobile device to make sure you're getting them. Because for example, this goals one, sometimes it doesn't show up when I know I need it for a presentation and I'm like, oh, so I can do it on the mobile app. When I search it, I can just go into the app, copy, paste, boom, and I'm good. So just a little tip there. So my other Gen tip would be to use Google Keep to save your Bitmojis as PNG files. If you go into your mobile app and you pick an image and you're like, oh, I want to save that. It saves it as a JPEG in your local device. And because it's a JPEG, that means it's going to have a background that's white, no matter what the Bitmoji is. And then you cannot remove that unless you take it to an outside tool to do that. So what I've learned to do is I keep all of my Bitmojis as I use them. I save them in Google Keep because Google Keep recognizes it as a PNG. And since it's in Google Keep, I can easily drop it in drawings. I can easily drop it in slides. I can easily save it as a image in my local device, and it's a PNG that I can then use in other tools. So that's one of my hacks. The other benefit of doing that is that there's some Bitmojis that are limited release and you want to make sure you save it so you have access to it. So for example, I saved the Star Wars ones that come back once a year, but I have a lot of the Marvel ones that they don't have those anymore. I have like Game of Thrones and others that were limited release, and so you want to be able to save them. For example, they just released, just dropped new Black Lives Matters shirts, which are really, really cool. So you might want to go ahead and save a couple of those in different poses in case that's not available because it's limited release right now. Oh yeah, great question. No, how can you see just poses? Thank you for that question. So if I wanted to just get like a standing pose, I'm going to click right here. I'm going to say pose, and that's how I can get just standing, no text on it. So yes, you can find your poses that way. That was a great question. Yeah. So if I just want to do a pose and I can say, grab it and save it. But again, as I mentioned, I'm using Google Keep to save it as a PNG so I can reuse it in multiple places. Okay. Okay. And this would definitely work well if you did spend some time altering it, because the other nice thing is if you've made it a digital sticker in slides, you can actually take that and say, save it into your Google Keep, and then you'll have it. Yeah. Yeah, the poses comes in handy if I'm like, I just want someone pointing or standing and all of that. And then that's where I went in and like took the top part of the Bitmoji I wanted and then took the bottom half. I played my little Frankenstein and put it together. All right. So do you individually save each Bitmoji into Keep or slides? Let me see here. Can you select all? So when I'm saving them, I'm usually saving them from my mobile device into Keep. And so it's one at a time. I've not tried to save multiple. You probably could if you select all and said save to keep. I just haven't tried that. Great question. I'm trying to see if I missed any other questions. All right. So next up, this is where you level up by app smashing. So this is probably one of my favorite tools. I use this daily pretty much for my social media posts. I use an app called PhotoGrid. It's free. Well, let me say it's freemium. The free version works for me if you don't mind advertising. If you don't want to have the advertising, you can pay for it, but the advertising is not bad. You just ignore it and keep it moving. It is Android and Apple. And so I use it to create really cool posts. So I have a t-shirt challenge. I wear a different t-shirt every single day of the school year. So last year, 220 days of school that I worked, and I had a different t-shirt. So I did a lesson with students, and so I was rocking my NASA shirt. And so to level up, I brought in my Bitmoji. I threw on my little helmet, so like I was an astronaut in space, and jazzed it up. And I use PhotoGrid to do that. So it's a great way to create interesting posts right there. Oh, question we had. Oh, how do you know if a Bitmoji is limited release? I would, Usually when they have like Star Wars, they put it out during like May the 4th, and then it went back away. There were others that, like, if there's something that is related to like a movie or an activity or a cultural event, like, you know, some of them go away, unfortunately, and then they might come back. I'm going to really hope that the new ones with the new, because like now they're giving you t-shirt options. Like they added the Pride shirts, which I was over the moon for that. They added in the Black Lives Matters. They just released new like face masks that are Black Lives Matters that were actually designed by artists outside of Bitmoji from a special project. You know, so I'm hoping that they're going to keep all those in there, but you just, you know, if there's one that you know you really love that is theme related, you want to just make sure you save it just in case. Like I saved all my Star Wars ones, but I saved them all before I knew to save it in Keep as a PNG, so they all have that white background on them. Okay. Let's see here. I think I need a Bitmojis beginner class. Looking forward to checking out tech tips to get some more. All right, good. All right. Yeah, there's all the little individual videos that you can go to and watch that. Let's see. You can make a Bitmoji from a previously taken picture of yourself, or do you have to take a selfie? It asks you to take a selfie, unfortunately. Uh-oh, I'm fading out. Did I go somewhere? Oh, you are. Oh, it's raining where you are. Okay, maybe it's where you are. It's raining. Shoo. Okay, got a little nervous there. All right, hang tight. We are recording, so the good stuff is there. So check out PhotoGrib. It's really cool. So for example, May the 4th. This is an example of a selfie. There, me rocking my Star Wars shirt, and then this one. But I had saved it before it was a PNG. It wasn't a PNG, so that's why it's got this white around it. So definitely try that trick right there. All right, here's another thing that I started doing, which is just brings me a little joy. If you didn't know that you can, on your new tab on Google Chrome, on the bottom of it, you'll see a little pencil. And I'd never really paid attention to it. If you go down to where that pencil is, you can edit it and you can upload your own image. So of course, what did I do? I added my Genmoji. So every time I open up a new tab on Google Chrome, she's smiling at me. So it's just kind of again, another way that is a useful way to me, or at least an entertaining way to use your Bitmoji. So down in that bottom on your Chrome bar, when you open up a new tab, you can, so design it. I designed it in Google Slides. I got the right dimensions that I wanted. And then I made it, and I had to be creative because you're going to have to make a little frame that all of this is going to live in. And then I, you know, added in Genmoji and my Tech Tips 411 and all that good stuff. So just kind of another fun way to use it. So the other thing is using creating animated GIFs. Again, I use it on my website. Just if it's animated on my website, it will get people to kind of click on it, hopefully. So I created this one on EduGIFs. Yeah, so that's what the pencil's for, Natalie. Yep, I never paid attention, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So there we go. EduGIFs, this was one I created, and notice I had different poses. I've got her kind of dancing with excitement about my EduGIFs page that I just created. In addition to that, check this out. Let's see if they're going to cooperate here. Welcome to Tech Tips 411. I'm so excited you're here to learn about tools to engage your learners. All right, because I know the volume was terrible. Let's see if you can hear it now. Welcome to Tech Tips 411. I'm so excited you're here to learn about tools to engage your learners. There you go. So yes, Mary, you can upgrade, do your computer background. And yes, on my Mac, I do have that on my home computer, which I'm streaming from right now. I'm a photographer, so it's all like my backgrounds where I wish I could go and visit again. But yeah, so what do you think? That was talking Genmoji. Was that pretty cool? So what I did was I used Google Slides, and I did the stop motion. I changed each slide just a little bit. And then I used a screen recording tool to do the voiceover. And voila, I've got a talking Genmoji. So my boss was doing a welcome message. She's the director of the instructional technology department in Atlanta. And she wanted to do a welcome message that was really cool to the new teachers. So I created one with her where she was talking and I had her hands moving and all of that. And then it cut to her. She matched what she was wearing that day. Then it cut to her live on Zoom as an introduction, and it was super fun. So that's an easy way to do it. You just do it as a stop motion, several slides right there. You can do Screencastify. You can use Camtasia. You can use your local screen recorder on Windows or Mac. If you have a MacBook, you can just use your Control Alt 5 and select and have it do an audio recording and video recording. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so lots of different options, whatever screen recording tool you have. But isn't that pretty cool? I thought it turned out neat. So then some other ways to level up. Here's a couple other apps, and I'm watching my time because I want to make sure I give you time for questions. Remove.bg is a web-based tool that lets me remove me, like photos I take of me, to get the background out, to do those layers of me with my Genmoji in a photo. You can also use it if you have a Bitmoji that has a background that you want to remove. Like if you just want the Bitmoji and you don't want the background on it. So that's remove.bg. Another tool that I use all the time is Green Screen by Doink, because I can layer myself and do green screen background. So I've got a green screen right now in my office. I'll take a selfie in here, and then I want to put my own background in it. So I'm going to use Doink to do that. It allows you to do 3 layers. So I can do me. I can do, I usually do a shot of my t-shirt of the day, and then I'll add in a Bitmoji, but you can also add in backgrounds. If you want multiple layers and to get really creative, VScope, it has 6 layers right now. It is really, really, really cool. In addition to that, I mentioned Adobe Spark before, but it's a great way for you to use it. Adobe Spark has video, post, and page. So you can make animated videos very easily. It's drag and drop and it's free. So you can put your Bitmoji in there and have your Bitmoji dance and do an intro to your students if you haven't already done so. It's a really cool way because it allows for voiceover. So that's another way. Now you won't have the animation of the mouth moving, but you could still have your voiceover with different scenes from your Bitmoji. So those are some cool ways to level up. In addition to that, if you're not using Canva, I love Canva. It is a free tool, and as educators, you can upgrade to a pro account. It has a Bitmoji integration. There's an option to link your Bitmoji. So as you're creating in Canva, you can go in and drag and drop and put things into your into your design, and your Bitmoji lives right there, which is kind of cool. So anywhere Genmoji can live, I'm a happy camper. So definitely check out Canva. If you're not familiar with Canva, again, on my YouTube channel under the PDs, I've got one on Canva. It introduces you, walks you through all of the features in Canva. Definitely check that out. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Genmoji can live in Canva. It's pretty cool. Some other tools that you might want to consider using that I use are, the first one I use all the time is the Color Picker Eyedropper, which is an extension. And what that does is if I click on something, I can go here and I can say, I want to hover over something and I want to get the color of it. So as I hover, I want to know what the color is. That's how I can make sure that what I'm designing is going to match my Bitmoji. For example, if I want the blue that's in the Bitmoji shirt to match the blue in the logo, I can do that right now. Is Canva Google compatible? It's a web-based tool as well as a mobile app. And so, yes, you can link to your Google Drive and you can sign in with your Google account. Yes, it's totally, it's web-based, and there is a mobile app, but really you're going to want to design in Canva on their web-based version, and then you can pull it up on your mobile app for social media stuff. It's super powerful. I also like the Noun project just for icons if you want to drop in icons for videos and images you're creating. Unsplash, as a photographer, I love it because it is free images, so you don't have to worry about copyright, and they are beautiful. So they're great for background. So if you want to put your Bitmoji in a scene, check out Unsplash. Now, Vecteezy is vector images, and that's really if you want to level up and you want to be able to bring that into Google Slides and be able to manipulate different things in the scene, and that is like level up advanced. But I want to put that on there if you're one of those folks that are curious about that. All right, we're getting into the home stretch. So here's just a couple of examples that I mentioned that I've created. The other thing is I use the trick of animating my header with tall tweets. So what I did was the logo stayed the same, but I added in, each slide was a different Bitmoji, and now I've got an animated logo for my Lights Camera Action app, which is on my website. So it's just a couple of examples of other things I've designed. But most importantly, what I would be remiss if I did not mention my Genmoji t-shirt, which I'm rocking today for y'all. One of my media specialists knows that I'm a little obsessed with my Genmoji, and she has a t-shirt game. And so shout out to Miss Bivens for making me my first ever Genmoji t-shirt. So why not put your Bitmoji on a shirt? Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. But wait, there's more. Right now we got dancing Genmoji. This was done in WeVideo. It's one single, one image. per slide, and then I put an animated background in WeVideo, which is a paid video service, but it's super cool, and it looks like Genmoji is dancing. That's kind of how I feel right now. Are we dancing? Are we excited? All right, but there's more. So I said that there's two reasons why. So there's two reasons why I use Snapchat. The first is to have friendmojis. The second is to have animated Genmoji like that. So animated Genmoji is something that you can use and do fun stuff like this. I was so excited. I got a package in the mail from the Den Summer Institute. Genmoji was dancing with excitement. Thanks, Pam. Yeah, Genmoji dances almost as good as me. I'll take that. Thank you very much, friend. So that's another reason if you want to be able to do animated ones. You can't do it talking, but you could definitely bring in like little dancing ones. They have all different dance moves and stuff. That's in Snapchat. I've got a quick tip on how you do that on my website if you're interested in seeing how you can do that. So last but not least, because I asked a question at the beginning, how many of you all have made your your Bitmoji classrooms? This is my Bitmoji training room. Since I don't have a classroom, I have a training room. So notice I have all of this is interactive. We're not live right now, but you can go in and go to Google resources and Microsoft resources and Discovery Ed resources, Flipgrid, all of that. All of these link to resources for videos that I've created or lessons I've taught. If you want to know like more about doing, you can click on that, Merge Cube, all of that. So this is my interactive class right there. So there's a link to that so you can check that out as well. I talked about a bunch, but in case you're like, I just want a quick sheet of just some ideas to like remind me of the things that you mentioned. Here is Bitmoji in the classroom, a list of ways you can use your Bitmoji. So that's in the presentation as well. Some of the things I talked about, but then there's some bonus ones in there right now that you will want to check out. So our goal was to learn tips and tricks for using Bitmoji to engage our audience. Did we do that? Thumbs up if we did that. And in the chat, drop a yes. You got at least one tip or idea. That was the goal. Boom, let's put that check there. We did it. Awesome. So next up, questions, comments, drop them in the chat. Look at all these yeses with 1, 1, 1, 1, all of that. Boom. Oh, love it. So here's the thing. I know it's Saturday. First of all, you're champion educators because you tuned in on Saturday to this webinar. And yes, I'm thrilled that this was free. And I'm so thankful for Dr. Alexander for allowing me the opportunity and the space to share with you all. Here's the thing. I'm giving you some homework just because. So your turn. This is called the Creators Challenge. I've given you several ideas, several things to try. So what I've done is we've created this shared Google slide deck, which we're going to drop in the chat. It's also going to be in the follow-up email that comes to you all. In there, I want you to try one or more. For my gifted learners are going to try more. One or more of these ideas. Crop or change your Bitmoji shape. Mix it up. Change your Bitmoji's text. Add a new element to your Bitmoji. Swap your Bitmoji's face. Create a Bitmoji scene. Add 3 Bitmojis together. Put your team together. Your awesome Avenger team. Create a Bitmoji gift story. App smash with your Bitmoji. Those are a couple of them. Pick one or more. You're going to grab a slide in the slide deck and you're going to add your creation. So that means over the weekend after you've got your idea and you're like, oh, I'm going to try this. Dazzle us with your creation. So I'd love for you to actually take one of these ideas that you saw and give it a try. So right there. So there's going to be a follow-up email if you've registered. That's going to come from Dr. Alexander to all of the registrants, I believe. She's handling all those logistics. But there we go. So friendly reminder, if you are interested, check out my techtips411.com website. If you go under resources, you can search by different topics like Bitmoji and QR codes. And there was questions about that. Wakelet, Flipgrid, all of that. In addition to that, you can sign up. There's a pop-up that'll be on my website that says sign up for my weekly tech tips. Those go out on Tuesday. I'd love for you to sign up so you can get that information. It's great stuff. In addition to that, you can check out my website, which is, my YouTube channel, Tech Tips 411, and you'll find quick tips, tutorials, projects, lessons, all that you can. And if you subscribe and hit that bell notifications, you'll know anytime I upload a new video. In addition to that, if you're a Facebook user, you can find me on Facebook at Tech Tips 411. That would be awesome for us to connect that way. And last but not least, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I do have a mobile app that has all of the best stuff in my Tech Tips website in the palm of your hand. There we go. And I ran over by 2 minutes. I apologize, but oh my goodness. How are we feeling? How did I do? And I know Dr. Alexander popped back in. And Pam, thanks so much for helping with the chat, and everyone else that's dropping all those links in there and helping out. Teamwork makes the dream work. There's our links right there. I'm going to drop the presentation link right there in there. And there is a feedback for this session, and I would love for you to fill that out, because Dr. Alexander will share with me how I did. I'd love to know. That's my resources page as well. Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm glad. Survey done. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, yes. I will upgrade you. My bad. My bad. I'm going to give you. I'm going to make you the host. You have the power. My apologies. I was in the zone. Awesome. Thank you all so much for your time.
No, you're good.
Woo! But yeah, I'm hanging out for questions if anybody has them. So please do. Yeah, if anyone has questions, drop them in the chat. And
actually, guys, if you can.
Technically, if you all want to unmute at this point, because I'm going to go ahead and do you want me to go ahead and stop the recording, Dr. Alexander? And then we can field questions.
You can actually keep it going.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll leave it going. But yeah, if you want to, I know we got quite a few folks, which is awesome. Please, feel free to unmute and ask a question if you got it. I'm going to hang out for a little bit and answer anything you might have. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad that everybody, it was worth your time. Yes. I'm looking for questions, and folks are, hey, continue on with your Saturday. Be safe, be well. But if anyone has a question, please, they can drop it in the chat. Oh, the background behind me right here. Oh, so that is a green screen, and I'm using a nifty little tool because you notice Genmoji's living there in the front of my photo, and I got my logo right there. That's just a green screen background, and I'm using a tool called OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, that lets me create a really neat virtual camera. If you want to know how to do that, there's a video that walks you through it, but the behind the scenes kind of looks like this. Hold on real quick. I'm going to share my screen again, if it will let me, and I'll show you the behind the scenes of kind of what it looks like, and it's super cool. There we go. Stop. There we go. I'm going to switch it over. I think it was there, and then I turned it off because I got so excited. Hold on, wait for it. I love Zoom, but then sometimes I just get a little discombobulated. Oh, wait. So now I'm back to participant. So there we go. I'm not sharing, but that's fine. But that's what it is. It's OBS, and you can definitely check that out if you want to do some jazzy stuff like that. Oh, if we go to the website, can we use the Bitmoji office? Yes, it is listed on there. Yes, you can go in and check it out. Yes. And
you are co-host again, Jen.
I am. Sorry. That's all right. That's all right.
It keeps kicking me out, so I keep going back out and back in.
That's okay. We are making it work. So there we go. This is behind the scenes. This is how I can do different fun stuff. Like, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter. There we go. I can do all sorts of different little, like, I can showcase us. I can do me training me. But it lets me do all sorts of cool stuff on OBS. So I can have like animated Genmoji there with me. So there you go. That's the answer to that question. I get that a lot with people like, that is so cool. How did you do that? So yeah. Kathy, I'm thrilled. I can't wait. So remember, drop your creation in there. Oh, is there any way to get the dark stuff off of Google Classroom banners? Cynthia, great question. Unfortunately, no. The reason it turns gray when you upload your own image, that is an accessibility feature put in place by Google, because when they have their images in it, they know that screen readers will be able to recognize the text. But when you upload your own image, they're not sure. So therefore, the gray is there. So I always tell everyone, make sure you have a white background so it stands out at least a little bit. But unfortunately, that is an accessibility feature. But we want to make sure it's accessible for everyone anyway, so that unfortunate that's an option.
So you start in Google Drive first, then you can do all this stuff, correct?
You're going to start in a Google Slides, and then you can create stuff in Google Slides. Yep, in Google Slides. Great question. I start in Slides. Drawings is something I use, but I tell teachers Slides just because it's a little bit easier to use in terms of the learning curve, in terms of editing and changing things. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Yeah, limitless possibilities. I love that. Oh, look at that, Becky. I'm living on your home screen. Fantastic. Awesome. And as I update it, it automatically updates. And what's magical about that app, it was created with Google Sheets. If you want to make your own app, you should check out Glide Apps. It's really cool. I've got an info page on my site about that as well.
So to get the animated, I need to get a Snapchat account.
To get the animated one, yes, you would need to use Snapchat. Or you could do what I did, which was in slides where I just spliced them together to make it look animated, which is different. Great question. Any other questions?
Hey, Jen,
Yes.
I'm in the creator challenge.
Yes.
Can you get to that? And how do I change where it says Bitmoji party?
Hold on. All right, let me get into let me get in there real quick. I've got it. I'm going to open it up right now.
How am I doing so far?
All right. Hey, let's see here. I love that you're already in there. Let's see who else is in here. It's loading. Give it its sweet little time here. Come on, little internet. You can do it. You can do it. So now I do want to point out, if you're making a Google Classroom, a Bitmoji Classroom, you want it to be 1 or 2 images. You don't want to do like 130 slides, because it has to load 130 slides before students can engage in it. It would be better to have separate links that they would need to open. All right, so here we go, Bitmoji party. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much, Karen. All right, so what do we want to change up here? What are we trying to change?
Oh, the Bitmoji party?
Okay, so you could overlay your own text, so you could use your own little shape here. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to grab another little shape, and I would maybe, based on that, I would do maybe a little bit rounded. It's going to cover up some of your stuff. It's only, actually, that's not too bad. So if I would drop it in right there, we're going to go up a little bit higher. But you can jazz it up by doing things like going into grids and do it like in a purple. So the purple kind of stands out like it's a natural thing that goes over it. Let's get rid of that outside line. And now you can type in whatever you want over there.
And then can I still have the little ball?
Well, the little ball is going to be part of it, but to really kind of cover up that text. So if you wanted to get rid of just the party, so you see more of that, you could say, I want to just cover the party, Bitmoji. You'll see a little bit of it. Yeah, there's some things you can do. Others, it's a little bit more challenging, but so you could cover up just a little bit right here and put a little message right there, but you can still see most of the ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of playing around with it, you know, but also when you go into search up here and you type in messages, but I do love that Bitmoji party. That's pretty cool. So if you wanted to type in a message, I typed in Bitmoji rocks, it's going to do its slow search, but it's going to give me a couple of options. So like, here's already got that text that you want. And if I don't like that one, I paste it in. I'm going to paste it in again. Oh, I pasted the wrong thing. Let me type it again. Bitmoji rocks. It's thinking. See how it gives me different options. And then you can use the message you want on that. So unfortunately, if you keep trying, you might get different ones. I always have to be mindful of, oh, nope, don't use that one. That's the middle finger. Or oops, nope, let's not use the one drinking a beer.
Okay. Well, I'm just working with it. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful
Well, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you and your time. And I see some folks who are diving into our challenge, and I can't wait to see right now. Or look at that. I love you, Miss George. This is one of my rock star media specialists that join me right now, because she has a jazzy little Bitmoji, but she's saying you could also add in another disco ball, which is correct. That's when you level up. So like if you wanted this right here, you could search for a cartoon disco ball and just kind of change out this whole section up here. That's a good point. There we go. Awesome. 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 Any other questions, burning questions as we got folks here? Look at this. I've got some folks coming in here with their designs. Love it. Awesome, Becky. Awesome. There we go. So what the advantage of us doing this your turn challenge is you get to see what other people create. And what do educators do the best? Borrow from other educators because they get inspired. Awesome. All right. So yes, see there's, oh, I love the crown. You are rocking that crown, Stephanie. And there's one of those new mask that was designed by artists, and they were submitted to Bitmoji. They announced it yesterday, and I thought that was so awesome. There's also a t-shirt that says that in there as well. I love that Bitmoji is trying to be relevant and timely with this stuff right now, with bringing in appropriate, you know, I love the Black Lives Matters when they added in the Pride line for, they added it for whatchamacallit, Pride Month, and then it stayed in there. I was worried they were going to take it away, and it's not. So far. Awesome. All right. So any other burning questions? I'm going to let you guys work on your homework. I'm going to go ahead and grab this chat, make sure I save it and share it with Dr. Alexander. The recording, I'm going to share it with her as well, so we can make sure you have access to it after the fact. But I would love for us to connect on Twitter. I'd love feedback on how you thought this was and if it was benefit. How do we get the homework slides? I'm going to drop that link in there. Thank you. Yes, I love how you want to make sure you do your homework. There we go. I'm dropping it in there, and it's also in the email that's going to go right there. Let's see, that went to, oh, I didn't mean to send it to everyone in the waiting room. I want to send it to everyone.
Yes.
There we go. I just dropped it in there. That's our homework, and it says the YT, that's for your turn. That's how you know it's the right one. Awesome. Well, thank you all so very much. Excuse me, so appreciate it. Your time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. For those of you that have already started off your school year, you are champions. Keep it going. And those of you that are getting ready, it's going to get better. One day we are going to get back in the real world. I believe it. One day we will. But awesome. Thank you so very, very much. I'm going to go ahead and hit that stop. So when I do that, everybody's going to go bye-bye. So to all my new friends, this has been so much fun. I'm going to make sure that we save all of this. Wait for it. I want to make sure I do all my savings before I do that. Oh yeah, make sure you do that evaluation, because that does let us know that I have access to all that. There we go. Show in folder. It says it did save. I'm making sure it saved. One more time.
Where's the evaluation again?
The link was up at the top here. I'm going to drop it in one more time. Let me see here if I can see it. There it is, evaluation. I'm going to drop it one more time in the chat. And there it is. There you go. Evaluation is there live for you. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so very much. And hopefully I might get to come back for another session if Dr. Alexander invites me back, and we'll get to connect again. But I hope you all have an awesome, awesome day.